Hey guys, I'm Hannah Johnson,
I'm Brittany Mitrick.
I'm Corinne Peroni.
I'm Kelsey Prescott.
and we're doing our project on explicit instruction for phonemic awareness, the bottom-up approach.
So our KWL chart, what we know is the differences between phonological and phonemic awareness, and that the instruction can be explicit or implicit, top down or bottom up. What we want to know is how this model of intervention affects English learning individuals, and is there any research to support using explicit instruction for English learners. What we learned is that the explicit instruction of phonological awareness is beneficial for all students. Okay, so I wanted to start with the definitions of phonological awareness and phonemic awareness. So phonological awareness is a broad term encompassing a general knowledge of spoken language. Words are made up of sounds. The ability to recognize word features such as the beginning sound, which is the onset, and the final sound, which is the rhyme, as well as rhymes, syllables, and alliteration. Then phonemic awareness is the ability to hear and manipulate the sounds that make up a word. So the main focus of the model is that it teaches a child how to hear, identify, and manipulate the phonemes in the most effective way. And it provides a foundation when learning to read. So the key characteristics of the model, it's bottom up. So it first looks at the most basic components of the language to understand the full text. So it starts at graphemes, then moves to phonemes, then moves to decoding words. For English learners, pictures and objects might be beneficial, so they have something to see, so they're not just hearing the word that's already new to them. And English learners respond to phonological awareness instruction similarly to monolingual children, which is interesting.
Cut it, don't worry.
It is important for English learners to be exposed to the English sounds that will help them be able to learn it better if they're exposed to it before they start learning the phonological awareness. And it's also important to note that if they're already literate in another language, it should transfer over in English.
So an activity that's appropriate for phonemic awareness is called phoneme segmentation. And this is something that would be appropriate for children who are at the beginning stage of language proficiency, so in the pre-production or early production stage. I'll go ahead and explain it and then we'll do a demonstration. But the first stage would be breaking up words. I was given a picture of an object, so in this picture it's a duck, and circles for each of the phonemes in the word. And the teacher or the instructor will explain it by saying, we are going to say the sounds in the word. So they do an approach, I do, we do, you do. So the teacher will say, duck, d, k. And then the students and the teacher will do it together, and then the children will do it by themselves. And as they say each phoneme, they will point to the circles on the paper. The next stage would be squaring up. So it's very similar. There's a picture, this one is a tiger, but the child will move the squares or any object that you want to use into the boxes. So with this one, the phonemes can, the number of phonemes in the word can match up exactly with the number of boxes, or there can be less. So the child really has to think and really try to figure out what the phonemes in the word are. This one is the next stage. This is all still in the early production stage, but they just get a little bit harder as they go. The next one is say it, move it, and the child has items, so it's like tokens or pennies, or even for the holidays you can do little tiny pumpkins. And you move the token as you say the phoneme in the word. And then at the end, I like this one, it's something that you can send home with the children so that they can practice at home, but as they say each phoneme in the word, they slide a bead corresponding to the phoneme. So this strategy will formulate the basis for many areas of language. So especially with ELs, it'll help with word production accuracy and really producing all those sounds right. It will also help with spelling, decoding, and then eventually reading comprehension. So as they decode those words, they have to really figure out how to pronounce them. But when they're once they get quicker at that through this, then their reading comprehension can kind of come together. So we're going to do a demonstration of a couple of the levels of phonemic awareness for English language learners in the early production stage. So first we'll start with this. It's breaking up the word. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this picture and we're going to say the sounds in words. I will do it first and then we'll do it together and then you'll do it by yourself. Okay? So duck, d, k. Let's do it together. Duck, d, k. Good job. Now you try it by yourself.
Duck, d, k.
Nice. Good job. So it's very likely that English learners are going to require explicit instruction. This will really help their language development. So this is a good place to start so they can really begin to understand the sounds that make up words. So then after that, there is squaring up, which is a little bit more difficult, and you can use little tokens like pennies or whatever you want to use. T, I, g, er. Okay? Now you try.
T, I, g, er.
Perfect. Good job. It's also important to note that teachers should be flexible when working on phonemic awareness because children in their classrooms will likely be at different levels. If you have English language learners, you also have to give them time and speak slowly and give them some time to respond so that they can learn just like their peers. Okay, so the last one we're going to demonstrate is say it, move it. So this one, you just have a piece of paper and you use the tokens for this as well. We're going to say the sounds in the word dog. I'll do it and then you do it. D, g. Okay, now your turn.
D,
g. Nice. So this allows the child to formulate their own knowledge about each of the sounds. It doesn't have the specific boxes or circles for them to point. They have to decide how many phonemes are in the word.
So we found some strengths and weaknesses of the approach. One strength is some phonemes found in the second language may not be present in the individual's first language. Some letters in the first language may have a different sound than they do in the English learner's second language. An example of this would be the Y or the J in Spanish. The bottom-up approach directly teaches these graphemes and phonemes that are essential in reading in the English language. Another strength is it would be beneficial for an English language learner with a communication disorder because it starts with the very foundation of language. The individual learns graphemes and phonemes first and then builds upon those skills. The weaknesses we found are it doesn't address the cultural aspects of language, so the child's not aware of slang or idiomatic expressions when using this approach. A second weakness we found is the methods of instruction may vary from teacher to teacher, so each child is not receiving the same instruction. So this may lead to varying levels of growth in the English language students.
So we found a few articles that support this approach, and one of them is by Ruben, and it did an intervention program with 3 Spanish-speaking students, and throughout the program they had to do readings that consisted of sections in phonics, sight words, and oral reading. All 3 students showed progress and growth throughout the intervention process. meaning that their phonemic awareness did actually end up increasing. For example, at the beginning of the whole process, a lot of the Spanish-speaking students pronounce different phonemes differently, like what was mentioned earlier. When they would encounter a J sound, they would often say huh instead of ja. The only downfall to this was that it was not a controlled experiment, so all the students just experienced the instruction within their own classrooms, like from their own teachers, and there wasn't anything else to compare it to. But it did show that using repeated reading programs that focus on phonemic awareness and sight words have the potential to assist English language learners in developing a stronger phonemic awareness and learning how to read more efficiently and effectively in English. In the next study we found, it discussed how having a strong phonological awareness skills are able to benefit the children in the long run, and they help them understand concepts like the alphabet, that even though in English, often two different letters can have the same sound. For example, the C and the K often sound the same, like C and cat and K and koala both represent the K sound. They use different tasks to teach all of these different principles, which can be like identity tasks, synthesis tasks, or analyst tasks, and you can do things like first sound matching or syllable blending and different things in order to teach these different types of instructions to all the children. These instructions can also be taught in different ways, like in small group instruction, explicit instruction, which is what bottom up is all about, and they're fully consistent with all of the current best practices, which is key when you're trying to do an evidence-based approach. Many children do actually require more explicit and systematic instruction to fully grasp these concepts, and a lot of the key elements of explicit instruction include instructional sequencing, modeling and explaining the task, as well as scaffolding and providing corrective feedback while the children are reading and performing these tasks. The article also states that it's likely many teachers are lacking a clear understanding of how to give the instruction, as well as lacking appropriate curriculum materials or just the willingness to change their ways. And here are all the references we used.